Watch Dogs Legion is a rare sort of game. It's every inch a cross-gen title that straddles the line between existing console limits and the promise of upcoming hardware. For developer Ubisoft Toronto, who take lead on the third entry, it takes a careful balancing act. Every Watch Dogs title to date, going back to the 2014 original, has evolved with more complex cities, a broadening of its ideas to show futuristic versions of Chicago, San Francisco, and now London. Legion realises the series' most exciting backdrop so far here, a great city jam-packed full of grim utopian detail. But the sacrifice to achieve that, well, there's no hiding there are some limits in the performance side. Both the base consoles, Xbox One and PS4, show a need for more horsepower to hit a stable 30 FPS all the time, and also to keep that screen tearing at bay. It's a sign the engine technology here is itching to turn the corner to next-gen consoles, barely a few weeks away. Are they playable as is though? And how do the enhanced Pro and One X fare? And finally, just how dire is the need for Series X and PS5 to play the game? Let's find out. Of course, it's worth respecting the ambition of Legion for what it is, a late-generation release. We've come a long way since the original Watch Dogs after all, itself a cross-gen game that at the time factored in the more CPU-limited Wii U, PS3 and 360 versions. There's a lot of parallels between this and the latest game in that sense, a lot of hardware targets, console specs old and new. Infamously, the final release of the original game fell short of its E3 2012 trailer, with the detailed SSR, volumetric lights and high-quality depth of field on show not quite making the grade. Even running on the then new PS4 in 2014, it didn't deliver a radically different experience than last gen. Watch Dogs 2, released 2 years later, expanded on Ubisoft's Disrupt engine at least, with a pure focus on PS4 and Xbox One machines and a more playful tone all round. Lighting improved and the focus on minute interior detail was boosted, and it still ran at 1080p and a relatively stable 30 FPS on base PS4. For Legion, as the third outing, the boost in city detail is a distinct one. Throwing us into a future London, there's a push for more complex architecture and materials, turning it into a virtual playground that feels unusually familiar for an open world game. It handles the micro and macro detailing wonderfully. It's easily the star of the show. Ubisoft Toronto has simply done a sterling job of meshing together the city's landmarks with the rise of new and believable tech, the drones, street surveillance, automatic cars and buses. All of it's backed up by the tentpole open-world features of Watch Dogs 2, the day-night cycles, weather states, the car and object destruction. It's a kind of shorthand version of London, condensed down to the highlights between districts like Westminster and Southwark. But honestly, there's huge value to exploring this London with a twist. So, how best to play it? Assuming you're focused on console play, and PC owners, do check out Alex's PC breakdown for more info there. Is it worth playing now or waiting to buy a next-gen machine? Well, the leading point, as ever, is the resolution side. As with the PC release, there's a temporal upscaling option which works to varying degrees on every console. The heaviest use is on base Xbox One, of course, which I've got running here. The max target resolution-wise is 1600 by 900, but it's dynamic and can and will drop to 1216 by 684 lowest on busy streets. Not only that, but the reconstruction causes image breakup in motion, the likes of which aren't as obvious on X or Pro. Speaking of which, the Xbox One X version guns for close to 4K. It's ambitious, but in practice gets only close, maxing at 3584 by 2016, with the lower bound set at 1440p. Again, we have some form of potential reconstruction here. Note the checker artifacts on movement, but it's by far the cleanest picture on console. To the PlayStation consoles next, and here's the base PS4. 1080p is where it tops out, but it can dynamically drop to 1536 by 864, or 80% of that top target. As for the PS4 Pro version, it's peaking at 1620p, with drops to around 2304 by 1296. That's the numbers done, but I will say there's a lot more to the image quality than just the stats. The form of temporal reconstruction in place has a big impact, especially on the base Xbox One, where the end result is often significantly blurrier and less defined. The toughest part is, on base consoles at least, the DRS in place will make gameplay hit its lowest resolution while driving, precisely where you most need distant detail to judge an upcoming turn. It's not unplayable, but add in the frame rate drops and screen tear, which I'll cover later, and the base consoles do show their limits. To recap then, the best image is undoubtedly on Xbox One X, and Pro is a close second. The most interesting comparison though is between best and worst cases, base Xbox One versus X. Now, exact matches are tricky owing to, well, the lead characters being randomized from the selection screen, but discounting the character model and the car up ahead, the environment and weather are at least matched. We see the SSR quality takes a nosedive on base consoles. You see more dithering on puddles and car bodies. Texture filtering across the road is also far lower grade on Xbox One, though surprisingly pop-in isn't wildly different between the two while driving. Many of the limits on Xbox One and base PS4 for that matter are hidden by lower resolution outputs to an extent. Case in point, the opening tutorial mission in the Houses of Parliament keeps the DRS at its top value. It's really not stressing base Xbox One here. All other details are matched, and so it's only when going outside that the power spec really makes a difference. Fortunately, all the basic systems carry across all platforms. The physics, weather systems, and even what appears to be the NPC counts are equal between all four. Realising such a richly detailed city, even with some issues in streaming and shadow pop-in at points, can't have been easy for the base machines. When it comes to performance though, they do pay a price for it. The best place to start here is on the base Xbox One. This is where most of the bad news is. Okay, the tutorial bits run just fine, but step out to the city of Westminster and it's immediate chaos. It holds 30 FPS most of the time while on foot, but key areas like this drop us into the 20s with plenty of screen tearing to boot. Any fast driving too just lowers that performance level to the high 20s, showing it's more than likely a CPU bottleneck at play as new assets draw in. It's very hard to recommend this version honestly. Even with DRS and reconstruction to help it along, on the GPU side, Xbox One is battling to cope with the complexity of the city. The real tipping point for me was tackling an early mission at a construction area. We're talking serious, continuous drops to the mid to low 20 FPS region here. Again, it's a sign this version really wasn't a focus at all for the team, and more powerful machines got the priority. Moving up the power ladder to base PS4 then, there's no doubt a big improvement. The construction site for one is now much closer to 30 FPS, though we still have adaptive screen tear. In fact, the tearing is the only real issue with PS4. Most drops under 30 are mitigated by dropping VSync before it gets too noticeable. Expect very mild 1 to 2 FPS drops at worst while driving, but otherwise, not altogether awful, just far from optimal with the amount of screen tearing that kicks in. The next step up in this sense is Xbox One X, a game that's largely leveling out at 30 FPS too, barely dropping under, but with flashes of tearing. In fact, the only time I've managed to make it drop is while kicking off an absolute riot in a busy area, with lots of effects pushing it down to a rare 26 FPS. Xbox One X appears to struggle in some cases, perhaps as a reaction to its high resolution target of 4K. Partly this is proven by the way PS4 Pro runs. It's a much lower res target at 1620p and yet has visibly less tearing across the board. It suggests the PS4 Pro version was the focus for its optimization push, certainly for launch anyway, and we really have the fewest frame rate drops here. It's the best performing version, with X in close second, and the fact tearing is so infrequent is a huge plus. It's enough in my book to justify the lower resolution, a trade-off that gives us more stability from frame to frame. All round though, it's clear the enhanced versions are the ideal right now, though One X is, strangely enough, still not quite perfect in its delivery. One last note here on performance from another angle. Glitches. I've spotted quite a few of them, and I have to speak up on what I've seen at launch. Even on the day one patches, I've had crashes on Xbox One platforms. I've had button prompts not register, forcing me to restart the machine. I've had an endless loading screen at first booting base PS4. In fact, I waited 8 minutes before giving up there. Less glaringly, there's issues with AI walking haphazardly, which can at times take you out of the moment. Meanwhile, animations and collision mess up more often than you'd expect of such a big title too, and really there's no way at all to barrel roll out of a moving car. It seems you just sort of slide out while standing upright. Again, it's not the end of the world, but for such a vividly realised city, your interactions with it can be at odds with the realism. Watch Dogs Legion then, do we need to wait to play it on Series X or PS5? Fortunately, it does seem PS4 Pro is the target for this one. In resolution and frame rate, it's the best balanced of the 4 console options right now, giving us an early way to play it mostly trouble-free. Ideally, more patches and time will fix the glitches and crashes I've experienced. New consoles, after all, aren't going to solve that out of the box. But the Series X and PS5 can fix other problems. The obvious stuff like performance, better image quality, while also giving us access to new PC features like ray trace reflections. All of which is a shame for those stuck with base PS4 and Xbox One right now, because the exploration of this futuristic London is a genuine highlight in Legion. If you've held off buying a Pro or One X till now, it's worth making the jump to new consoles to play it, something we'll be looking into as they arrive. But that's all from me for now. If you did enjoy this video or find it insightful in any way, feel free to like or subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to get notifications as any new video lands. To get a high quality version of this video, check out our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net, and to get in touch with me or the team directly, just use Twitter. But from me for now, thanks for watching.